Dale Jr. was a lot of things in his racing career. He was the son of a legend. He was the most popular driver for 15 straight seasons in Cup. And he was a winner. So today, I want to look back at his 10 best Cup wins. And a little disclaimer here, I am a huge Junior fan, so I'm probably going to be a little bit biased towards a few different wins in particular. So if it seems kind of skewed, that's my excuse. Now, in order for a win to be in this list, it needs to go as a points-paying Cup race. I only do this because that's the same thing I did with Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson, and I want to remain consistent. So that's why the 2000 Winston or the 2010 race in the Xfinity Series where he was in the 3 car will not be on this list. With that being said, let's get to it. At number 10, we have the 2012 Quicken Loans 400 at Michigan. When Dale Jr. went to Hendrick Motorsports in 2008, there was a huge air of confidence. After competing for championships at a subpar DEI team, many were thinking that he'd be just as dominant as Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson were in 2007. And for most of 2008 in the regular season, he was consistent, but for about 3.5 years after that, he suffered from crippling mediocrity. But in 2012, things began to turn around and he was really fast. So at Michigan, 4 years to the day of his last win at that point, he had one of the most dominant runs in his career.
There you go, buddy. White flag. Bring it home one more time, please.
2 more miles to victory for Dale Earnhardt Jr. as the crowd stands and cheers here at Michigan.
Oh my God, I wish people at home could be here to see these people in the grandstands and to hear them. We're up here in the TV booth and you can hear these people.
Junior down the back straightaway and into turn 3 for the final time. There is going to be a party in Junior Nation tonight.
35 win is one. Hell yeah.
The streak is over. Dale Earnhardt Jr. back to victory lane at Michigan.
Thanks. I don't want to say.
You know, but I think his voice said it all when he said, I really don't know what to say. After all that time, listen to the crowd. After all that time, he expected it. And I think that said it all.
He hadn't been able to celebrate in a while. He's going to make this one last. Burn it down, Dale Jr. After 143 races without a win, he's making the donuts on the front straightaway.
At number 9, we have the 2001 EA Sports 500. This race was one of the best restrictor plate races of the early 2000s, and that is saying a ton. This was the first of many great Talladega performances in Dale Jr.'s career. The race overall was a ticking time bomb, as the largest and only wreck was 3 cars. And it was only halfway through the day, so there was plenty of time to wind this little jack-in-the-box up. In the closing laps, the grenade pin was pulled. It was just a matter of seeing the explosion.
The white flag is up. Final lap at Talladega. Who's it going to be? Labonte, Earnhardt Jr., Stewart, or maybe somebody out of the pack? Look at this move by Jr. at the white flag.
And Tony Stewart goes with Jr.
Coming with you. 20's with you.
Labonte blocks Bobby Hamilton.
Cannot believe that Toyota.
Oh, contact! Bobby Labonte's over. It's the big wreck on the final lap. They're racing back for the win. Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Tony Stewart are side by side. This is for the victory as Jeff Burton gets in the middle of it. At least 10 cars involved in the wreck on the backstretch. Burton and Stewart are side by side. That's all Earnhardt Jr. needs to see. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has won the $1 million bonus here at Talladega.
At number 8, there's the 2003 Aaron's 499. While this race ended up being his 4th in a row at Talladega, so far being the only driver to ever do that, it was possibly the hardest win he ever had to get at the track. On the third lap of the race, half of the field would be caught up in a wreck, and this included Junior. After dozens of pit stops and even falling off the lead draft, he still was managing to compete for the win at the end, even if it did have to include a little bit of controversy.
They're banging into each other at 190 miles an hour.
Here comes Junior. He's got to run. Kenseth tried to close him off. Over the line. It's going to be borderline, guys. It's going to be borderline. Now, Dale Jr. becomes the Department of Defense. But you watch him, Darrell. I bet he'll hug that yellow line. You don't want to open up the bottom. NASCAR has called Junior's pass a clean pass. This is for the win. Can he do it, guys? It'd be 4 in a row. He has about a fourth of a lap to go. Remember, the start-finish line is way down headed into turn 1. It's not in the center of the triangle.
You can't do it, Larry. You can't make it. You're not going to pull out and pass him with a single foul like that.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. 4 straight wins at Talladega.
At number 7 is the 2004 Sharpie 500. The Bristol night race is one of the most important races of the season. So, when the drivers in the Nextel Cup field entered the race 3 weeks out of the chase, it only increased this. But the field would have to race for second, as just like the night before in the Busch Series race, Junior dominated. This time, though, he coined the phrase that we repeat to this day.
Heavily partisan crowd at a place where his father had so much success. He won the Daytona 500 earlier this year. He'll add another of NASCAR's majors to his resume tonight as Dale Earnhardt Jr. wins the Sharpie 500 at Bristol.
Hey! That's awesome! Good job, Yuri! Hell yeah!
I'll tell you, this place is it is a special win for these guys. This is a tough place to win a race.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., the first ever driver to sweep a weekend here at Bristol. The Busch Series race and the Cup race in the same weekend. I know that sounds hard to believe, but that's the fact. He's trying to do his donuts, and other guys are trying to get back to the garage area. There you go. Now the track's yours, Junior.
That's why you make the bumper strong, right there.
Marty?
May have been the first time someone's ever done it here at Bristol.
Man, this is one of the biggest wins of my career.
Why is that?
It's Bristol, baby!
At number 6, we have the closest race to the present day on the list. The 2014 GOODY'S Headache Relief 500 at Martinsville. Most fans of NASCAR know that Junior is a huge NASCAR history buff, so win at Martinsville would naturally be a huge accomplishment to him. All day he ran the top 5, much like he had before, but with about 50 to go, Earnhardt took the lead, and it looked as though he was just going to run away with the thing and get his first grandfather clock, until Kyle Larson and Marcos Ambrose tangled in turn 3. This led to both a hell of a restart and a hell of a celebration.
Stenhouse shoved aside. Boyer can't get through. 3 wide going to turn 3. Junior's through to second. Jeff Gordon through to third.
Line, go get him. Nothing coming.
For the race lead, no contest. Dale Earnhardt Jr. through. 3 laps to go. Here comes Jeff Gordon to second. We're basically back where we were at the front. A lot of bumpers being banged back in the pack, but we focus on the race for the win. Coming to 2 laps to go. A mile left at Martinsville.
Still 5 back. 2 to go.
Jeff Gordon sailing off into turn 3, trying to get there.
1 lap to go. We're in the last lap of the race.
Back. White flag.
Next flag ends it. Checkered or yellow. Can Gordon run Junior down to turn 3, or can Dale Jr. hold him off?
5 back. Still 5 back. No pressure.
checkered flag and his first Martinsville win. Dale Earnhardt Jr. takes it over Jeff Gordon.
Start off the top 5, we have Dale's first win, the 2000 DIRECTV 500. This really was the day that showed that Junior had arrived. All day he raced up towards the front, and while being really good, he wasn't the dominant driver until the final run of the race, where he just ran away with the thing. The race and post-race interview would be one that would never be forgotten.
His grandfather, Ralph, former national champion, they called him Ironheart because he gave nothing on the racetrack. His father, 7-time Winston Cup champion, once dubbed Ironhead, and then the Intimidator. How about this kid?
He can coast on now, Mike.
Checkered flag, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is Texas Motor Speedway's second first-time Winston Cup winner. And waiting on him, along with Dale Earnhardt, is Ken Squire.
His dad is here first. What a moment. The 7-time Winston Cup champion pushing his son's car to a stop in victory lane here at Texas. Hey, fella, what does it mean to win your first Winston Cup race?
That's pretty special.
At number 4, we go to 2004 with Junior's first Daytona 500 victory. Junior had an astronomically good speed weeks, finishing no lower than second in each of the 4 races he ran in the weekend. And once the field got spread out over the last 300 miles of the race, Junior's only competition was Tony Stewart. And after getting by smoke, he would cruise to a victory.
It's all going to come down to whether Earnhardt has a bobble or a problem in his final third of the lap.
You can't get emotional yet because you've got to get off turn 4 and back to the start-finish line.
You can see it now.
The legacy continues. Dale Earnhardt Jr. wins the 46th Daytona 500.
All right, Junior, stop right there and acknowledge these fans.
He's got something up his sleeve, I think.
Just get out and acknowledge these fans. They love you.
Here he comes.
Here he comes. Get out of the way from Tigers. Let me in there.
You want to know what winning this race means to someone? Have a look.
At number 3 is Junior's other Daytona 500 triumph in 2014. Now, before anyone gets mad at me putting this one over 2004, just remember that in Junior's own words, it was better than the first one. And I think this is due in large part to the fact that it'd be his last season with crew chief Steve Letarte. The race began at its normal time, but due to rain, it would need to finish at night. And with that, the white 88 Chevy sprung to life. But when the caution came out, trouble stuck itself to the front of the grille in the form of bear bond. And he would both have to race and battle the field as well as the chance of overheating to win his second 500.
White flag with Stenhouse up in position to challenge in that blue Ford.
You know what, Larry? I believe that tape's going to stay on there, and that baby's going to come home a winner.
Denny Hamlin has not lost a race this week. He's number 11. Keselowski, the 2012 champ, battling back to the top. And Dale Earnhardt Jr., the Pied Piper of Daytona, trying to hold them all at bay.
And Kyle Busch was trying to make a third line at the top of the racetrack.
Boy, here they come. Now, this is where it gets interesting. We've seen a lot of passes off turn 4 to the start-finish line, but that 88 is pulling away.
Less than a mile to go.
Oh, we got a wreck.
Third-generation star, Dale Earnhardt Jr. brings him to the flag. Checkered flag, waving. It's over. It's Earnhardt.
You know what I love? I mean, to see Dale Jr. that excited to see him just pumped, man, about winning that race, and he should be. But look at him. He's like a little kid in there.
Yeah, I don't know
enjoying
if I've
every minute
ever
of it.
seen him that pumped up.
No, I haven't either, Larry. It's just so good. Look at him. He's going to jump out of that thing. He's going to be up on the side of the door there in a minute like his dad used to do.
And he's about to be a 40-year-old little kid, but I guess there's a little kid in all of us, Darrell, especially when you win the 500.
I never think about him being old. I still think about him being Junebug.
In the runner-up spot, we have one of his most sentimental victories in his career with the 2001 MBNA Cal Ripken Jr. 400. This was the first NASCAR race to be run after the tragic 9/11 attacks, and America needed a boost in morale. So fitting enough, Dale Jr. would boost it with a win. On his white flag lap, NASCAR actually didn't wave the white flag to show that America would never surrender. The American flag would fly at the end instead.
Final lap. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to lead 193 of 400 laps. The American and checkered flags out of Dover. Earnhardt Jr. wins.
Race fans, it doesn't get much better than this. And Earnhardt carrying the American flag around the racetrack after winning.
All 140,000 here today were given an American flag by the Speedway when they came in the gates. They're all waving right along with Dale Jr. now.
At number one, we all know what it is, but we have to have the 2001 Pepsi 400. After the death of Dale Earnhardt at the Daytona 500, NASCAR was hurting badly. And while the wins from Steve Park and Kevin Harvick helped the healing start, it would have to be Junior that would really put it into full effect. So when NASCAR came back to Daytona in July of 2001, all eyes were on Little E. Well, he flat out dominated the event. But when the caution came out with a few laps to go, Earnhardt would be shuffled back a bit. The finish, with his run to the front, would be one of the greatest moments in the history of sports.
On the outside, Junior.
The Blaney block in the 93. What about Benson?
They're going to stay on the bottom of the racetrack. I think they're going to give the outside to Junior.
Still there, still there.
To the outside for the lead in turn 4. Dale Earnhardt Jr. rockets to the front at Daytona. Listen to the crowd.
And look at this crowd behind him. Look at this race behind him.
Michael Waltrip dives underneath Bobby Labonte. They bump on the backstretch. Waltrip to second. Elliott Sadler and Rusty Wallace with him.
Coming behind you.
Now, 2 team cars race in the 1 and 2 positions.
That's who Dale needs to see in his rearview mirror right now. That's the best thing he can see.
Will Michael Waltrip block for Dale Jr.? Will he try to win the race himself? White flag is out. Final lap at Daytona. 180,000 on their feet, screaming wildly. 2.5 miles to go.
Just exactly the opposite of the Daytona 500. It was 15 and 8. Elliott Sadler is trying to keep Bobby Labonte behind. He can't do it. But he does move down in front of Rusty Wallace on that fast line.
All clear, all clear.
Bobby Labonte looking for some help, trying to get up there. His teammate Tony Stewart has never answered the black flag.
And they're 4 wide back between the Wallace boys.
Here they come, turn 4, final lap of the Pepsi 400. Michael Waltrip in second, but it's going to be Dale Earnhardt Jr. using lessons learned from his father to go from 6th to 1st and score the victory in the Pepsi 400.
That's unbelievable.
Yes!
That man behind you did it for
Yes!
you. You guys celebrate. You love you, man. You did it.
That was beautiful. Very, very nice.
I saw you look to the heavens with a few laps to go. What did you say?
Well, he said he knew he
could beat them. We just didn't know what was going to happen. Remember when we've seen this before? And Steve Mills joining the fray now. Yeah, man, DI's tough. DI's tough. We can celebrate. What a finish at Daytona. Dale Jr. on top of the car in the infield.
The 1998 Daytona 500, when his father finally won the Great American Race, he threw the car into the grass doing victory donuts. Everybody joining in the celebration. That's Chocolate Myers, long-time crewman for Dale at Richard Childress Racing.
And with this race, we reach the end of the list, and I pass this topic on to you. What are your favorite Dale Earnhardt Jr. wins? Let me know down in the comments below. And while you're at it, leave a like on this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel for more great NASCAR content. And until next time, have a good one.